Hi everyone, my name is Natalie.
Hey, and I'm Sasha Burson.
So one of the subjects that we haven't talked about just yet, we talked about SEO, we talked about PPC and digital marketing in general, but then you keep seeing those other websites and local directories pop up in search results whenever you're searching for legal practice. So why don't we talk today about the directories? Are they effective? There are paid, there are non-paid directories. How can legal firms use those directories and what results they can expect?
Yep, cool question. So there are a dozen or so of highly visible directories specifically for attorneys. Like the most visible one is probably AVO, AVVO, I'm sure you've heard of it, right? And then there's FineLaw, there are so many of them, right? So a dozen or so. So yes, they are effective. If for nothing else, they're effective because they have high visibility to Google. And when you list your firm there, you create a highly credible link pointing back to your website. And if you have watched other videos, we've been talking about this for a while, that you need to have highly credible links from highly credible websites going to your website, which will uplift your website in Google's eyes. It will give it more authority. So if for nothing else, you gotta be listed in those directories, and all of them, if I'm not mistaken, allow you to list yourself there for free. I think none of them actually charge for like basic listings.
Basic
right?
listings, in some listings you're not allowed to publish your website, so you would need to pay for that?
Right, so, and that's where it gets a little bit tricky, right? All of them make money by giving you premium listings, right? A premium listing uplifts you in the ranks above everyone else in your category. So for example, if you practice, criminal defense, right, in the great state of Georgia in Atlanta, and you want to be highly ranked in AVO, you're gonna need to spend some money with AVO. So you're listed above 347 other lawyers that practice criminal defense in the great state of Georgia in the city of Atlanta, right? So is that effective? Heck yeah, it's effective, and here's why. So when people look for attorneys, when they need help, and I'm going to use criminal defense in this case because I started with it. So when people look for attorneys, so let's say you go and you use Google, right, and you type in criminal defense lawyer, or some people just say criminal lawyer, which like really doesn't make sense to me because it makes it sound like I'm looking for a lawyer who's a criminal. But people do that, and actually I've seen like criminal defense attorneys call themselves criminal lawyers, which is like just really hilarious. But that's not the point, right? So when people search for a criminal defense attorney, what they will see is first they will see 3 ads in Google, and then they will see map listings, like 3 or 4 map listings, and then there will be organic links, and invariably a third or more of those links are going to be not attorney websites, but directories that are listing those attorneys. So if I'm a consumer looking for a criminal defense attorney, and I'm looking using Google, and I go to those organic listings because I decided not to pay attention to what's in the ads. Some people skip them over, and I didn't like what I saw in the map listings. I just go to organic listings because that's how I prefer to search. The first listing might be AVO or Yelp. Sometimes Yelp takes like the very top, or any other directory, and like the first few positions could really be just directories. So I, as a consumer, I will go and I will click on it and I will say, oh, that's useful, because I see all these attorneys listed in one place instead of going one by one. And AVO and others make it very simple to like understand what it is that you do. And if you have asked your clients, former clients, to leave you reviews, they will actually see how well you're liked or disliked by your clients. And then there's going to be a link to your website, so they will actually end up going to your website. So yes, it can be incredibly, incredibly effective, except for people who, or for attorneys, attorneys are obviously people, but specifically for attorneys, it will not be very, very useful if you practice law in the practice area where consumers do not look for you directly on Google. Where consumers, and those could be business consumers, like if you're a B2B attorney and most of your new business comes to you through networking and through referrals, in that case, consumers are not going to Google like your type of attorney, they are going to Google you. And then you just need to validate whatever it is that they learned through that referral, and then give them some additional information so they can see you as a very credible, reputable attorney. But that's a whole different ballgame, right? So directories, very useful for B2C attorneys that do set up themselves with premium profiles, because if you do not have a premium profile, unless you practice law in a very, very lightly populated area and there's very few competitors, chances are you're not going to pop up at the top of the list. People who do spend a little bit of money on promoting themselves through those directories will pop up at the top of the list. Now, how do you choose between those dozen or so directories? Well, you want to start with the biggest and the baddest, and the way that I would go about this is I would look at who gets most traffic, like who gets most search volume in my specialty area, in my practice area, right? Like, so for example, if I am a criminal defense attorney, I would interview Avo and others, and I would say, well, okay, so I'm in Atlanta. If I do have a premium listing, how many people should I expect to see my listing, and how many of them should I expect to click on it? And from that, you can kind of make an inference as far as, okay, here's how many phone calls I should get, and here's how you decide on that, right? So for example, Avo says that there are 1,000 people that will come to this listing, not your listing, but to this page with all the listings, looking for criminal defense attorneys per month. Then you can ask them, okay, so what's the what we call click-through ratio? How many of them are actually going to click on my listing if I'm position number 1, 2, 3, or 4, right? I think they have like 4 paid listings. And they're going to tell you what, if they divulge that information, which they should, they're going to say, well, our click-through ratio is 3%, as an example. So out of 1,000 people, 30 people are actually going to click on your link and look at it and say, oh, okay, interesting. And then you should make an inference, and they will probably not tell you this information, but you, or better yet, your marketing agency should get this information, right? How many of those 30 people who will look at your listing will end up going to your website or calling you right there off that Avo listing, right? And then you got to know your numbers. How many calls or inquiries, online inquiries, does it take for you to land the client? And from that, you can build out a really nice clean funnel and say, okay, so many people are going to see it, so many people are going to see my ad or my listing, so many of them are actually going to pick up the phone and call, and so many of them are going to become my client. So you will know how much it will cost for you to acquire one client. And the way that you do it, let's say you spend $1,000 with Avo and you end up with 2 clients per month. Well, now you know that it costs you $500 per client to acquire them through Avo. And it's as simple as that. And then you can decide whether that $500 per client is a reasonable enough cost. So if you are a criminal defense attorney and you do some state cases which bring in relatively small revenue, let's say $3,000 to $5,000, and then you do some federal cases that bring in between like $15,000 and $1 million, whatever it is that you charge clients depending on complexity of case. Well, once in a while you'll get like O.J. Simpson, and then you'll bring in a few $1 million. But like, you just have to understand like what that $500 in customer acquisition cost gets you in terms of revenue. And never think like of abandoning the listing after 1 month if the numbers look bad, because in marketing and in sales, we always look at quarterly performance, and we want to compare that monthly and quarterly performance, month after month, quarter after quarter, to really understand where the numbers are. Because what happens is that there are spikes and then there are drops, and you just need to average it out, and there are different seasons and so many other factors that come into play that you do not need to worry your head with. You just need to worry your head with the numbers, right? What it costs me to acquire a client, and what do I get for that client acquisition cost.
Based on our experience, we also have listed our clients to multiple directories, and we're also able to track how many calls, how many forms, how many clicks they get to those listings and from the listing to the website. So it turns out that you really don't know which directory is going to work for which attorney in which geographic area. So the best way to know whether it's going to work for you or not is to test. I would suggest to allocate specific budget. Okay, we're ready to invest, and don't be afraid to invest something like $500 a month for just one listing, because I'm going to tell you, with one of our clients, paying $500 is bringing him 20 leads. Now it's leads, it's not clients.
How many clients does that convert into?
It's around 10%.
10%, so 2 clients or so?
Yeah.
Okay, and what does each client, like, what is it worth?
thousands of dollars.
Thousands of dollars, right? Okay.
So 500 basically brings $250 per converted client.
Okay.
So my point is just test different directories. Don't be afraid to spend 500 versus, I know another client of ours, I spoke with them recently, they keep spending $100 a month for a month, if not years, without getting any results. But because it's not, it's not a big amount, we can keep doing this.
They don't feel the pinch.
Right. But in the course of months or years, it's thousands of dollars, right, that you can invest in a directory that actually going to bring the results, a big directory.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Don't underspend. Because when you do, and your competitors don't underspend, guess where the business is going to go to? The ones that don't understand. So being too thrifty can actually hurt a lot. So another point, don't rely on directories only, because they will never bring you, unless you're okay with getting like a couple of new clients a month and that's it. You really need to do other things, but directories is just one of the sources. So if you think about it, you need to get as much attention as needed to accomplish your financial goals, right? And for that, you really need to have what we call omnipresence marketing, right? You need to be present everywhere where your prospective clients, people who want to give you their money, are looking. So directories is just one of the ways, but it would be a terrible mistake not to be listed in directories, period. And unless your caseload is full without getting much business from directories, unless that is the case, you really do want to have those premium listings in the directories, because that's how you'll get more traction.
Yep. In fact, one of our clients, he's been advertising with Nolo, one of the directories, and he paid per lead. So his feedback was that for the past month and not years, he's seen decline in the quality of the leads that are coming in. So he's been relying on this directory for a while, and now it's kind of time for him to search for a new source. So
it's interesting. Like if you think about it, directories are in the same business as any other website,
Absolutely.
Right? They fight each other
as any other legal firm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Nolo used to have stronger presence, and now it's kind of on the decline, I guess, right? And others might be beating them and taking over their position. So there's more traffic going to others and more conversions, more leads, and ultimately more cases from others. Yeah. It's a really good point.
All right.
All right, that's a wrap. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.